Hello everyone and welcome to ITLS Academy Empower the Youth. So today in this lecture we will going to study about microorganisms in the atmosphere. So in the previous lecture we have discussed about the diversity of habitat. We have discussed about what is a habitat and what are the different types of habitat in which microorganisms lives. So in this particular lecture we will going to study about one of the habitat that where the microorganisms survive. So as already discussed, atmosphere is the most hostile environment for any microorganisms for their survival. Every microorganisms, not every, but depending upon their characteristics, the habitat of the you can say the habitat of the microorganisms depends. And one of the most hostile, or you can say the favorable habitat that microorganism finds is the atmosphere. So let's see the introduction part of this and let's proceed with the chapter. That is, in addition to the gases, dust particles and water vapor, air also contain microorganisms. There are vegetative cells and spores of bacteria, fungi and algae, viruses, protozoans, cysts. Since air is the most exposed to sunlight, it has a higher temperature and a less moisture. So if not protected from desiccation, most of these microbial forms will die. Air is mainly its transport or dispersal medium for microorganisms. They occur in relatively small number in air when compared with the soil or water. So if we see the atmosphere, right? So in atmosphere, if I write here about the atmosphere, so I'm writing in the short, that is atmosphere. So in atmosphere, different types of content is there, right? But there are some types of microorganisms that find this atmosphere a very hostile environment for their survival. So in atmosphere there are dust particles are there are different types of fine particles, right? So water vapor are there are also you can say gaseous, right? They have a bundle of gases are there, different types of gases are present in the atmosphere, dust particles are present, water vapors are there, air is also there. But apart from all these, the atmosphere also contain microorganisms. So the vegetative cells and spores of bacteria, or you can say fungi, even the viruses and protozoan cysts, they all are present in the atmosphere. But one thing, see, atmosphere is very much exposed to sunlight, and the temperature as you compare the temperature of atmosphere is slightly higher than that is present on the soil or on land. And air, since it has a more exposure to the sunlight, so it has a very less moisture. So if not protected from desiccation, so most of the microorganisms will die. So air, what air does? So air act as a medium for the dispersal of microorganisms. So sometimes they are as you compare this microorganisms that are present in air is very less as compared to water and soil, because like I'm saying, this air, water and soil all are providing a very hostile environment to the microorganisms for their survival. But if you compare the number of microorganisms that are present in water and soil, so the number is larger in soil and water as compared to the number that are present in the atmosphere. So microorganisms plays a very so microorganisms depending upon their characteristics, they are present in the atmosphere. Microflora of air. What is a microflora of air? So to understand this, you have to understand the two category of microflora. The first is outdoor microflora and second is the indoor microflora. So the outdoor microflora says the air in the atmosphere which is found outside the building is referred as the outside air. As the name suggests, outdoor microflora means the air in the atmosphere which is found outside the building, or you can say the outside air is known as the outdoor microflora. The dominant microflora of outside air are fungi. The two common genera of fungi are Cladosporium, Cladosporium and Sporoblosmyces. Beside these two genera, other genera found in air are Aspergillus, Alternia, Phytophthora and Erispe. So these are the genera that are present in the they are the outdoor microflora that are present in the atmosphere. The outdoor air also contain basilospores, echospore of yeast, fragment of mycelium and conidia of the mold. Among the bacterial genera, Bacillium and Bacillus and Clostridium, Saccharina, Micrococcus, Corynebacterium and Acromobacter are widely found in the outside air. So there are different types of species of different types of microorganisms, bacteria, yeast or mold. So mostly they are present in the outdoor microflora. So what is indoor microflora? So the air found inside the building is referred as the indoor microspora. The microflora. The commonest genera of yeast of fungi in indoor air are Penicillium and Aspergillus. The most common genera of bacteria found indoor are Streptococci, Bacillus and Clostridium. In case of occupant being affected, the composition shows slight variation with the latitude and to a lesser extent with the altitude. The ozone owes its existence in the atmosphere to a photosynthetic from oxygen under the influence of solar ultraviolet radiation. So depending upon the composition, so there is slightly a variation with the altitude to the altitude and with the lesser extent to the altitude. So now comes the distribution of microflora distribution of microorganisms in air. So how microorganisms are distributed in the air? So microbes of air within 300 to 1000 or more feet of the earth's surface are the organisms of soil that have become attached to a fragment of dried leaves, straw or dust particles being blown away by the wind. So these microbes, how they are distributed in the atmosphere means the fragment of dry leaves, sometimes the so you can say some of the organisms of soil that are attached to the fragment of the dry leaves, or you can say straw or a dust particle. So what they do, the air, they blow away these type of small fragment of dry leaves, straw, dust particles from soil to the atmosphere by the wind. So this is how the microorganism is distributed in the atmosphere. A species vary greatly in their sensitivity to a given value of relative humidity, temperature and radiation exposures. More microbes are found in air over land masses than at the sea. Many plant pathogens are also transported from one field to another through air, and spread of many fungal diseases of plants can be predicted by measuring the concentration of airborne fungal spores. So apart from this, There are certain plant pathogens that is also they are also being traveled, or you can say blown away by the air from one field to another field, that causes various, you can say, microbial or you can say fungal diseases. And how this fungal diseases spread? By transporting one plant pathogen to of one field to another field through air, right? So this is how this distribution of microorganisms in the air take place. Now coming to the significance of microorganisms in industries. So first is the food manufacture, second is spoilage of food and fermented products. So students, this microorganisms, as I have stated earlier, that microorganisms are sometimes they are very beneficial to humans and sometimes they are very harmful to humans. If we talk about how they have a significant effect on humans, or you can say on environment, that they has a significance of the significance of microorganisms in the industries. The first is in the food manufacturer. So microorganism that has been transported through the air and have settled on or in the material are involved in various fermentation products. Production of alcoholic beverage, vinegar, sauerkraut, dairy products, etc. is often due to the microbial activities. So if we talk about the food industries, so this microorganisms they play a very important role in manufacturing of any food items, like microorganisms that have been transported from air and have settled on, or you can say in material, are involved in various fermented products, such as production of alcoholic beverage, sometimes production of vinegar, yogurt, any dairy product. So they need the microorganisms for the production of certain types of food, like curd is prepared through, or you can say by, microorganisms, right? Alcoholic beverages, all the beverages that contains the alcohol is prepared through microorganism, but through a process known as fermentation, right? Then comes the spoilage of food and fermented product. Microorganisms are also troublesome in the homes and in the industry where foods and other fermented products are prepared. In industrial process, where particular organisms are to be grown to supply sterile air and free from contaminating organisms is considered a problem. So sometimes they are very useful for the industries as well as for the production of food, and sometimes they are very harmful, right? So here microorganisms are playing a dual role, or that is they are beneficial as well as they are harmful. Then comes the airborne diseases. So there are two or you can say, there are two main sources of microorganisms in air. These are saprophytic soil organisms raised as dust, and organisms from the body tissues introduced into the air during the coughing, sneezing, talking and singing. Droplet expelled during the coughing, sneezing, etc. consist of sativa, or you can say that is not sativa, it's saliva and mucus, and each of them may contain thousands of microorganisms. Most droplets are large, like dust, tends to settle rapidly. So there are two sources of microorganisms in the air. So these are first is the saprophytic soil organisms, that is you can say that is raised as dust or you can say organisms. So sometimes whenever we have cold or we have some infectious diseases, so sometimes whenever we sneeze, we put our hands over our nose, around our nose. Why we are doing? So that the microorganisms or the infections cannot be spread between a person that is sitting next to us. But how? Because air act as a medium to carry carry, you can say, carry that infected organism from the infected person to another person, while we are coughing or we are sneezing, sometimes while we are talking and singing, right? Another, apart from this, droplet that is expelled through coughing, sneezing, etc., they consist of a saliva and they consist of the mucus, and and this saliva and mucus, they contain thousands of microorganisms, and these microorganisms can cause diseases from one person to another, and that is known as the airborne diseases, because the air acting as a mediator to cause diseases. Then comes the airborne diseases are transmitted by two types of droplets depending upon their size. So droplet infection proper applies to a droplet larger than 100 micrometer in diameter. The other type may be called airborne infections and applies to dried residue of droplet. Droplet infections remain localized and concentrated, whereas airborne infections may be carried long distance. Arid is dilute. So how this airborne diseases are transmitted by the droplets depending upon the size. Now comes the airborne bacterial diseases. So airborne bacterial diseases are brucellosis, that is brucella suits, is mainly an occupational diseases among the veteran butchers and slaughterers house workers. So this is caused by brucellosis. So it is a species that causes brucellosis, and they are mainly this disease is mainly attacked for like butchers, the slaughterer, or the house workers. Then comes the pulmonary anthrax, that is caused by Bacillus anthracis, is the causative agent, and what they do, their transmission is mainly by inhaling the dust contained by animal product. Then the third is the disease caused by Streptococcus progenies, means the number of diseases are caused by Streptococcus phylogenes, which is mainly transmitted through air. Disease caused by Streptococcus pyogenes occurs in the throat, skin, and systematically. And then comes a rheumatic fever, that it is the upper respiratory tract infected by S. progenies, characterized by inflammation and degradation of heart waves. So all these are airborne diseases that is caused by different types of microorganisms, right? So in this lecture, as far as we have discussed how the microorganisms are present in the atmosphere, what is the distribution pattern, how they are distributed in the atmosphere, how they are helpful, how they are harmful for humans, how they are spreading the airborne diseases, right? So there are various bacterial diseases, as well as you can say there are many other diseases that are caused by bacteria through air. And what air is doing? Air is acting as a mediator by which you can say through which the disease is spread, right? So these are certain these are certain things that is there. So in this particular lecture, in exams they can ask you about how what is microflora of air, how they are, how outdoor microflora is different from indoor microflora, and how this distribution of microorganisms take place in here. And sometimes even they can ask you about the significance of microorganisms in industries. And yes, we all know that this is the 100% question that mention the airborne diseases that is caused by microorganisms, and how this airborne diseases is spread. So this is all about the lecture. Hope you have understood the lecture. If any query, any doubt is there, you can leave your queries, your doubt in the comment section below. In the next lecture, I'll be answering all the questions. And if you want me to add anything, or if you want me to explain anything particular slide, you can just drop your query in the comment section below. So students, thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe, and you can also visit our website, that is www.itlsacademy.com, and this is our helpline number, that is 7080833450. And yes, you can follow ITLS Academy on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, and or you can please don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel to get more lectures on this microbiology series. So hope you have understood, and thank you.